Woo-hoo. Woo. Woo. Happy October design stream, everyone.
Yay!
Yeah, this is our monthly design stream that Patrick and I do. We're once again not quite at the first Tuesday of the month, but that's fine. We do it every month. Not that we're late every month, but we get close.
There was a noise in the background.
I know, it's spooky.
It's the building's haunted. My favorite month of the year, my favorite holiday, the easiest to navigate family-wise.
Oh, okay. I
like fall. I just did this owl set over lunch today from Legos.
I was telling Patrick last week that I love Halloween. My only problem with Halloween is that it sucks out the air of fall a little bit sometimes. Yeah. But I love Halloween too. I think it's great. And Halloween in the Twin Cities is spectacular.
Yeah.
Because even though it's cold, trick-or-treating is great. There's like a big tradition of people hanging out in the front yards with like bonfires and a cup of cider. Yep. And it's just wonderful.
Jeff Tidball, formerly from Atlas Games, used to do, I believe he did sausage and beer for the adults that came by. So you could get some sausage or beer there.
Yeah, we usually have my nephews and nieces will like come visit because they live sort of in the middle of nowhere. Affectionately in the middle of nowhere, but they don't have like a neighborhood to trick or treat.
Sure.
So they will usually come up and visit. Not this year though. But.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, and then we, of course, we live next to Summit, so you can go get the full-size candy bars, and people go all out to decorate there. There's also one block the other direction. There's this family. I think they must have spent over the years maybe $20,000-$30,000 on their lawn. They put all this stuff out.
There's like a part of Sargent, like down towards St. Thomas, where we were told that. So these houses all have very elaborate Halloween decorations, and we were told by someone who lives there that usually when a house was bought or sold on that street, they would keep all the Halloween decorations in the basement and say like, "Hey, this is 10 grand of Halloween decorations. Don't just throw it away." So like some of the decorations are quite old. It's amazing.
There was a house on St. Clair they said that they would give us the decorations, so we didn't buy it.
It wasn't enough.
That wasn't it. That wasn't going to turn us over. So I'm going to jump in the chat here just because it's going by a little bit fast for me.
Oh yeah.
So the giant root meatballs, you will have to convince my spouse to make you one if you want one. Good luck on that.
We could, if we, they give you tournament prizes if we want to slowly parcel them out over many years, maybe.
Someone from Madigo are now offered to make them for us in foam if we wanted to sell them. So I never got the price for that. He also offered to make us one for the studio, like a big one. A big one, yeah, because we had talked about getting one for the lobby. Now that we're here. And then some people have commented, this is our new broadcasting space. I think we played the last Ahoy game here, or a couple of Ahoy games.
Yeah, we had this is our second designer chat. We've been slowly ramping up the public appearances. We're still learning how to use it, getting all the technicalities worked out. It's a lot nicer. Patrick is looking up at the cameras that we have precariously. Not precariously.
I mean, what I like is the rust.
Yeah,
we gotta get that fixed.
Yeah, I think part of one of the phases of our moving in is to redo some of the basement. So some of this is provisional, but the studio is really nice. We've been able to stream some games. We'll be streaming some October games. We're hoping to do a vast TMM game maybe later this month before Halloween. And other fun stuff. Let's see. Speaking of studio, we are getting close to reopening to the public some playtesting space. So I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be, but if you're local to the Twin Cities, we will hopefully start having it'll probably be a midweek evening playtesting event. Usually these start as like invitation only, but it's pretty easy to get invitation. Basically, you just have to ask. And we will just slowly be ramping up our evening testing. We've got a bunch of projects that are kind of in a spot where they need a new batch of testers. And so we'll be bringing people to the studio probably by mid-November at the earliest. It's one of those things that we are getting very close to having the facilities capacity to do it and do it properly. We're just taking our time, not rushing.
That's going on. So, has there anything been going on in your life, Cole?
A lot. I'm busy. I just got back from Germany on Sunday, and then I spent yesterday packing because we're doing a move, but also just kind of sleeping and reacquainting myself with U.S. time. I had a very quick Essen trip. It was we had planned on doing a longer trip, but there were things that canceled it. And then I decided, okay, it was still worth it to just fly out, do a 3-day Essen trip, and fly back. And it was great. Essen is, if you have any interest in board game shows, Essen is really special. It's very different from any show in the United States. Mm-hmm. And it's the kind of show, I mean, I would say if I were not in the industry, and if I were just coming to Essen as like a fan, mm-hmm. what I would suggest, here's my hot take. Essen is awesome, but it's a 1-day show. No. You do not need to go to Essen for 4 days. You will achieve nothing extra, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. So I'd say do Thursday and do Friday. Saturday is fun because the hall is flooded with German families. Yeah. And so that itself is kind of fun. It kind of turns Essen into Costco. Right. It's like the vibe changes completely. Okay. But if you go for, and I think you could probably, I think if you had 2 days, you'd be able to see everything and probably demo a lot of things. The people who do go to Essen for all the days, they do all the demos. And that's like the main thing. So like US shows, especially like Gen Con, there'll be concerts and kind of fun stuff that you can go see. It's very much like an event space. In contrast, Essen is primarily a storefront mm-hmm. for fans of the industry. You get to meet people, which is nice. But mostly you're there to buy games. And the best way to experience Essen is to ask for lots of demos mm-hmm. and to look at games you've never seen before and say, hey, yes, I would like to play a little demo of this. Mm-hmm. And so if you go to a con and you don't like asking for demos, Essen's not great. Sure. But I think go there Thursday, Friday, and then with the rest of your weekend, go explore another part of Germany. Or you know, if you bought the ticket, there's a lot of things that are amazing within an easy train ride. But Essen is really incredible.
So there's 7 halls.
Yeah.
I don't want to compare the two, but just so I have a sense of the scale.
Yeah, so it's like
compared to Gen Con's exhibitor area. How large is it?
Basically, Gen Con's main hall is about the size, I'd say, of like 3 of the halls. Okay. So Essen feels like twice as big. Okay. And it feels a little bit bigger than that because it's all board games.
Sure.
Instead of even like a major publisher will have a smaller booth, mm-hmm. and so there's just more games per like square foot. So it's both denser and bigger than Gen Con. Mm-hmm. And also I think Essen has a lot more like 1-day attendees. Sure. So I think, because you always see the stats that are like Gen Con will have like 80,000 people and Essen will have like 200,000 in like the pre-COVID times. Yeah. And I think that number is less that it's bigger and more that more people are coming for just a day. Sure. Because it's pretty easy. You get a train, you go to Essen, the mess is right there, you go through it.
Instead of having to fly to the middle of the country.
Yeah, and one of the other fun things about it is the food is generally like better integrated into the court spaces. Sure. Now during COVID, this was a little tricky because there'd be food areas with people eating maskless, but it was pretty easy to go out to the different courtyards mm-hmm. and to find a little like space in open air. But in a non-COVID time, it's really wonderful to have all that. To have the food like right on the floor. You can get a glass of wine as you wander around the floor. There'll be like a little like booth selling drinks. You can have a glass of wine while you shop for some games or have a demo. It's great.
Wine and games don't mix for me.
Yeah, well, you can get apple juice
there you
or one of those apple sodas. It's definitely an exhibitor store show. This is not the kind of con where you would ever like bring a game and expect to play it with your friends. Sure. That's not what Essen is for. But yeah, Essen was great. I told Spat already, my favorite finds of the show, lots of things. I got a game called Plutocracy, which I'm very intrigued by. It reminded me a little bit of, like in ethos, it was almost like a little bit of a Splatter game, sort of like Soul and a Splatter game combined. Mm-hmm. Made by the same company who did Euro Crisis. Which I wasn't as crazy about, but I feel like I can see them learning their lessons. And it was like, it's what you love to see, which is like a second game very different than a designer's first game. and you can really see them like putting in lessons and learning things. And then my favorite demo of the show was probably the War of the Ring card game, which I was just shocked by. That was like one of those demos that I had almost no interest in, but there was an empty table and I sat down and learned it. And I could not believe how clean a design it is. It was really lovely.
Cool.
Yeah, very impressed by that. And then there was lots of other new stuff. The new Friedman Friese looked really cool.
What was that called?
I can't remember. It's about German town building. Someone compared it to Great Western Trail, but like a simpler Great Western Trail, maybe.
I like me some Friedman, as you know.
Oh, and then my favorite thing about Essen is that throughout the halls, there are these spiel bars, these like little used game stores that are just scattered everywhere. And they have very good deals on super old German games. And so I had been looking for a copy of Uwe Rosenberg's Sissy, which is like a strange, like hard bonanza that he made that is difficult to find in the United States. And I found one on the last day after digging through like just bins of Amigo card games.
That's amazing.
And it was like on the bottom of the, and it was a transcendent moment. And then my best find is I love the game Condottiere, and I've always been hunting for a first edition.
Sure.
Because the first editions of Condottiere, however you pronounce that game, the production is bananas. It has, instead of the little control markers, it has these chess rooks, and then the actual Condottiere piece is this giant pewter mini of a guy on a horse.
Nice.
And I found one for like 20 euros, just in a big pile of old German games. And I was like, this game, I've never even seen this listed on BGG.
That's amazing.
And I went with my brother, and he got a lot of great old games, including a great classic Shark, which is like a silly Acquire-esque type game.
Is that Saxon?
No, but it like has that vibe. It's like from the 90s.
Okay.
It was great. Essen was great. I already miss it. I already want to go back.
The Saxon School of Design.
Yeah.
Findorf was the name.
Oh yeah, Findorf. That's the name. It was one of those. Findorf is another one that I hadn't planned on playing. Or hadn't planned on buying, but I was watching someone play it and just listening to them talk about the game while they were playing it. And I was like, oh, this sounds really compelling. And also, it reminded me a little bit of this Martin Wallace game called The Last Train to Wensleydale, which I really like. And I think it's an underrated Martin Wallace game. So more games about municipal politics. All right. What did you do this weekend, Patrick?
Is Condottiere the game that they play for gambling in The Witcher?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be like it's Gwent in The Witcher, but it's just a ripoff.
Okay, of Condottiere. So I took Path home and played 2 games of Path with my family, or with my friends and my family, and had a lot of fun. And it's hitting that point in the design where we scream at each other when it's engaging, and we're like, why didn't you make the cats do this last turn? Then we had those moments in the game, so that was a lot of fun. And then just talking generally about new things. Did I talk about Cosmic Odyssey last time?
I think you were just about ready to start playing it.
Yeah. So we played 3 of the 4. We haven't gotten the group back together for the last game. I made this. I was the Seeker one game, so I made this. I don't know if you can see it real well. It's an eyeball drawing, and so when people are like, "Is that your Seeker question?" And I'm like, yes, this is because the Seeker can ask you one yes or no question per round, so I would hold up the eyeball to show that. Yeah, so I played Cosmic Odyssey. Last night I played my first game of Rangers of Shadowdeep, which is a Osprey miniature war game, a solo miniature war game, where you can play with 4 people, but then it's a co-op game, and it's you design a ranger character, and then the ranger is persistent between your sessions, and his little band of troops, so they're kind of doing a recon and force on behalf of the king in the setting, and then they do scenarios, and then they level up. And I've been reading Lone Wolf, and I kind of got that vibe of I just want to play the kind of Starkery lone adventure character. So I started that last night. That was a lot of fun. And what have you been playing?
So let's see, what have I been playing? So I mentioned that I really enjoyed War of the Ring, the card game. Most of all the games I basically just shipped back, which is, I don't know. The trick of how to get games back from Essen is never fun. I think the best way to do it is to probably just buy a box and check it, or to have an extra piece of luggage. But this time there were enough games bought, and I did the whole trip on a backpack, and I was like, Didn't even bring a second bag. So I just used the shipping service. It was kind of expensive. But the one game that I didn't ship was the War of the Ring card game, which Katie and I played last night a bunch.
Fantastic.
It was wonderful. And I'm like, it's so funny. Lord of the Rings is one of those things that I cared a lot about when I was in high school. I guess like Star Wars or something. And then I stopped caring about for 15 years. And then recently I've been like reevaluating and having more complicated feelings about it. And so like we've been watching the Rings of Power series. Yeah. Well, it was actually during Oath, I read the whole, like Christopher Tolkien's whole history of Middle-earth, which was amazing. It was a great read. And then we've been watching the Rings of Power, and I'm reading The Hobbit to my kids right now. And I'm just kind of like sitting in Middle-earth, a little part of my mind, and I'm having a really good time. And now I'm even debating like, do I want to learn how to play the War of the Ring board game, which I've played a few times many years ago. I remember it being, I remember thinking when I was 18, I thought it wasn't worth it. Right. But you know, people change. Maybe it's great. I don't know. So I'm going to do that. And then the other thing that I've been just starting to play is I'm building my Arkham decks, because this weekend is Arkham Nights, which I'll be doing with a friend at the Game Center.
You are doing it.
Oh yeah, I did it last year. It was great. It was fun.
Oh my gosh.
So
Cole, who are you?
I know we're going to play the Arkham Horror card game, which is I think it's. Hot take, I don't care for a lot of FFG games. It's been a long time since it's weird, like even Unfathomable, which I really was hot on. I really liked Unfathomable. And then the more I played it, it just kind of like, it just didn't have the staying power.
On BSG.
Yeah, well even at BSG, I was never crazy about BSG either. Sure. But it was one of those like, the more I played Unfathomable, the more I'm like, this feels kind of flat. And so I just sold my copy of Unfathomable. But the thing that I love to me, the thing that FFG does that no other studio does is they have the ability to make a living card game, which is a hard thing to make. I don't think we could make one if we wanted to.
No, we've talked about
it's just like
academically we've talked about
it. Like you're just thinking, like what does the infrastructure look like to make a living card game? It's crazy. It's like making an MMO or something. And I think that the Arkham Horror living card game is just really good. And I've been really enjoying it. I played the Antarctica campaign, The Edge of the Earth, over the summer. It's hard. It was good. And then I have a few campaigns I haven't played yet, and the new one is coming out soon. But I think I got the Scarlet Keys Investigator pack, and I'm going to build a couple decks this weekend for.
You'll have to give me the like. I have the base set. Sometime you'll have to give me offline. You'll have to give me like.
This
is how you get into it.
No, yeah, you should. Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you online.
Okay.
Because it's now very easy to do. Go buy the Path of Carcosa campaign box.
I've heard that's good.
It's really good, and then now you're good. Okay. That's like it's one expansion makes the game so much better. And the thing that I love about it, we talked about this probably last October, is that it's so modular. It is such a good. It's such a cool co-op because it's fundamentally modular. So it's not like curating a single narrative experience. It feels like you're playing in like a video game engine. And so I feel like I first felt that way when I was playing through the Dunwich campaign, and we got to the scenario with the train. So the map was just a line of train cars.
Sure, yeah.
And then you're trying to move up the train car, and then there's like a monster, and the train cars keep like falling off the bridges and things.
That's
and I was
fun.
like, oh, this is like, it's like those narrative Legos. It's like this very open way of thinking about how to do a scenario. And Carcosa is really cool scenarios too. So anyway, I still love it. It's like I think if I were to rank FFG games, I'm like TI, number one. Probably Game of Thrones. I've never played the second edition, but I've played a lot of the first edition with Clash of Kings. And then probably Arkham is my third.
Bro, can you close that box by hitting X? There's like a tip. There you go. Yeah, that's eating up a lot of space. Thank you.
And I don't know. I love like obviously Netrunner and their version of Cosmic Encounter is very good. It's probably the best of the Cosmic Encounter versions.
So I have a couple more mentions. I did play a game of Tales from the Loop, the board game, with my wife.
That's had staying power for you.
It's very simple. It reminds me of what the best instincts of Arkham Horror. And that's why I like it. I don't know if it's good. I just like it. I just started reading Wander Home, the RPG. which is about anthropomorphic animals in a very fantastic world.
Ooh.
Post like war that was kind of an apocalypse for them, and so the idea of being violent is really gauche. The idea of adventurers and heroes and kings. Like, it was like, just do your own thing. It's okay. You know, we don't have to rule over each other. I just read Wandering Swords also. I just want to give a shout out because I'm sure this designer sold like 10 copies.
11 now.
11 now. It's on itch. Wandering Swords. I got it in a bundle of 5 Souls-like RPGs.
Okay.
And it kind of does like what I want D&D to do, just like very light combat, and I really like. It was a good read. I read it all in one sitting, and I probably run it. So I'm really into it. I need to get to the end of Wonder Home though. I haven't got to yet.
Cool. All right. Well, lots of games.
Yeah, lots of games. Yeah, I've kind of gotten back into games lately. Just have to ignore
funny,
your children.
It's funny how it like ebbs and flows, even for us. Like, we do it professionally. But then there are times in which we can feel like, oh wow, I just really want to play some board games right now. I mean, I've had that happen where, like when I was playing a lot of Carnegie a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just forgot what it was like to be like really into an interesting Euro.
Yeah.
And I got Findorf actually, that Freeze game, because I was like, yeah, let's make the magic happen again. let's get back into another Euro. Okay, so let's talk about our projects, what we're working on.
Let's talk about our projects.
We should talk design.
Yeah.
So I can give a little ARCS update. And
how's ARCS going?
We'll probably mostly talk about Path. ARCS is going great. So when I talked to you all last in mid-September, I mentioned that we weren't going to release the kit until early October, and then last week we published a Kickstarter update saying just a little bit longer, just a little longer. And
he was sad.
I was sad. I really
was. He looked really dour. Yep.
Yeah, I was inconsolable, just wailing at my window. Basically, the reason why we waited is because there were just a few tiny little scoring things that weren't perfectly syncing, and then that was being coupled with a few art assets that we wanted to wait till we had, because basically every, the way I tend to think about it is our games when they're in Kickstarter and post campaign. They're going to get generally like 3 releases. You're going to get the release that releases with the Kickstarter, and that will get some updates and things like that. Then you'll get the mid-development release, and then you get the, hey, this game's almost done, final pass release.
Sure.
We are now at the mid-development release, and it's an important release because generally it will get almost as much eyes as the final release. Sure. The final release is always tricky because players are tired and they're ready to like take a break. They've been on this big journey with you. We're all tired too. But the mid-release, usually there's still a lot of excitement. And so I was really making sure that like everything we wanted to try to put in the design in terms of victory system, some mechanical adjustments, and also the aesthetic design, you could all see. Because that will allow us to vet those things on kind of the biggest public stage. Yeah. So happy to report that the game is in great shape. When I left for Germany, there were like a couple little outstanding screws that need tightened, and then I got little updates from Josh while I was away, saying Josh was like, "Well, I have this suggestion, that suggestion," and then I would say, "Okay, of course, that sounds great." And then at Essen, 2 people came up to me and said, "Hey, I just played ARCS last night on the testing Discord. Nice. I really like the changes." And I said, "Okay, good work. So it's good to go. And we're waiting on just a few little things and cleaning it up. My guess is that Thursday we will have a new kit for you all to play. So you'll have plenty of time to learn it before the weekend. There'll be a TTS kit. I don't know if I'm gonna make a print and play kit. I might. It only takes a few hours. We will see. But basically what I'm saying is the print play kit may be a few days later. It might happen next week or maybe a little later than that. There will definitely be a digital kit and the rules and everything so you can read it. And we'll be posting it probably Thursday midday. I'm not sure precisely when. And it will let you play the core box game. It's got tons of there's so much content. There's tons of tech cards, tons of interesting market cards to buy. The board itself is larger. It's we don't have a ton of new illustrations. We have a lot of graphic design done. The map is going to be a lot more illustrated though, and it's looking really good. I can't wait for you all to see it. And then basically as soon as that little boat gets pushed off, I completely move into the campaign game, which is I've been working on today a little bit and yesterday, and it's going to be interesting because especially in the last month, the single session game has gotten very punchy and very fast in ways that are exciting and create all sorts of good emergent moments. But it'll be interesting when I apply that engine to the campaign game, what parts need to be throttled and like if we need to adjust any of the core rules. And so, when it came to the development side, and I won't get too in the weeds here, but we basically had two different paths we could take with the development. We could say, all right, I'm going to go work on the campaign, and then I will assign, let's say to Nick or Josh, the base game and say, y'all finish the base game, I'm going to go work on the campaign game. And the other way to do it is say, nope, let's just pause the base game. We will have it can get fancy. We can like put everything into graphics and start getting all those assets done. But we aren't going to complete development until we have finished development of the entire campaign game.
Sure.
And that way, if there are any outstanding questions, we can use the campaign to answer them.
Right.
Because, for example, like right now we have a kind of catch-up mechanism around the destruction of cities. That mechanism is the part of the design I feel most uncertain about. And I'm hoping that working on the campaign will put it into proper focus. But yeah, that's where ARCS is. It's all good stuff. I don't have a physical kit right now. Otherwise, I would show you all pieces. But you know what I will probably start doing in the next few weeks? Printing another set of ships because we're going to start doing in-person testing. We need 2 or 3 kits. Okay, that's ARCS. ARCS update.
I'm excited. I hope you put in the campaign an ending for me where I just get double the points for cities.
Yep.
And then I can just hang out.
Patrick's ending, but you have to draw an eye and put it on your forehead.
Yes, that's so, yeah. Well, that's
all the games.
No, I'm not gonna.
Inception.
I'm not gonna do that. So someone did ask if Path is still in the root universe, and yeah, currently, yeah. I kind of like started to think about it, like, what if it was a Western and the cats were like the oil company or the railroad, and then someone else was cattle or something like that. But I haven't got too far into that. Yeah. So
I think the most interesting thematic note around Path is going to be trying to get it to harmonize with like the RPG and with all the other root products and making them all sit together.
Yeah. And Mark and I have had a couple little paragraphs here and there about that, but nothing big yet. I mostly I was like, I'm going to use you might see your city names in my kits.
Yeah.
I will change them before the end. He's like, you can use the city names. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So that's nice. All right. Yeah. So we've been working on Path. So since I showed the board last time, and I should probably write some design notes so I have something to refer people to. It's kind of the way that Vast had some kind of early design notes. Yeah. And so I think the big change was that on the hexes that make up the map, and by using hexes, I'm not trying to create a world where you can just lay out the hexes randomly and have a working map. I want to provide you with kind of like that expansion for Small World, where it says, here are some maps you can generate with these pieces, and then we've tested those and make sure those work. So you don't just have a random map.
I didn't realize that. So the Small World expansion is not fully random.
There is one scenario that's fully random, and it's not that fun. I'm just gonna come out swinging on that one. There's one where you build a river through the whole world, and that's by far my favorite. But and so I intend to just publish a few maps and then say at the end, here's kind of the guidelines I use to make maps if you want to try it yourself, and of course do whatever you want your game.
Yep.
So on those hexes there were a bunch of clearings with roads between them, kind of like the Magic Realm map or the route map, to create a vector system. And that wasn't really adding a lot to the story of the game, and it was kind of just adding a lot of time as people would sit there and go, well, if I go this way. And the map, and maybe this is a fault of the design, but like they weren't adding any interesting decisions. They were either just adding one big bottleneck in the center of the map, and a lot of uninteresting, just a lot of counting. And then when the NPCs had to do something, you'd be like, is it this way or this way?
That distance stuff. Whenever you have anything that has to like choose the shortest, and complicated pathing.
Yep. So I took all the paths up. So oops, no paths.
No paths.
In path.
Paths, nope.
So now it is a bunch of hexes together, and there's still path building. It's just you can connect you can connect the hexes together with faster routes instead of having to cross the terrain and pay a premium to move across them. And that's been working really well. And in fact, it was ridiculous when I started, because if you remember, I had like 3 or 4 cubes in some of the hex facings, and now it's just all or nothing. Like either it's one action. If it's both planes, you can move 2 spaces across planes. Anything else, it takes an action to move 1 hex. And then if you put a path across those, they now count as the way the planes move. And then the difficulty of scouting the path is based on the hardest terrain in there.
I see.
And so sometimes you fail in mountains because it's harder, and that is just worked fine. It's a little bit of a parsing problem for the rules, but I'm sure Josh can. Josh will get right on it. So, so I did that, and I have not looked back. There was and like Saturday, it's laid it out, and I was like, here we are playing it, and I was like, so there's a couple like tricky, like if it's this and this, what happens? But we got through it, and I've been trying to figure out a way to make some areas harder to get to within that system, and I think I have that. So so they really benefited from that, and I really, it's much easier to parse what the enemies can do now, and so on. So
is the map going to be a regular shape? Like, are we going to have to make a frame?
No, it will not be a regular shape.
Okay.
I mean, maybe during development we'll get there and say, we'll decide. I did, if we want to expand it though, I did want to have like set pieces of 2 or 3 hexes in the set pieces. So maybe like the otters don't build dams, but maybe there's a beaver faction that builds a dam or something like that. And I wanted a big like city in the center of the map. So
yeah, we'll have to figure out if we want to give like the hexes teeth.
Yeah.
Or wobble so they interlock a little bit.
Yeah, so they don't go all over my desk, which they're currently doing. And so what I've really been working on since then is then the kind of the flow. We talked a little bit about this at lunch, but in the game there is a bunch of missions you can do for each of the factions. So the Republic, which is the Alliance, we might call them the Alliance, presents you with a bunch of pick up and deliver missions. The Cats present you with a bunch of bounties, the things you can go fight on the map to get bounties. We also like cleaned up the combat quite a bit, so there isn't a handful of dice combat anymore. So there's bounty missions, and then there's also for the badgers, who were going to be the birds in my original years ago design of the game. But I was like, well, the badgers now are looking for relics, so so you can go into dungeons and look for relics for them. And so when you did those previously, you would get points with that faction, and then you get a point of wealth, which is kind of a universal. It was called fame at one point, so it was kind of a universal score. And so now we've been talking about how do we get. There's 4 things we need to reward. It's doing the missions, doing the path, which are your special missions that are part of your story, and then scouting needed to be rewarded because it helps everybody on the map. So there needed to be an individual reward for scouting the map out and building paths, and then there needed to be a reward. So in the game, at your suggestion, and which I really liked, I mean it's changed the course of the game a lot, is at the end of each turn you get a card that you put into a hand that is ways to influence the factions in the game, and then you can play them in sets. And the larger the set you play, it's kind of like Risk. So you're playing 3 cards in Risk. Sure. So if you play a large set of cat cards, you get a lot of actions to take with the cats. And so then what you're trying to do with your actions at the end of the turn is to build to kind of fatten up your faction that you're scoring a lot of points with, so that there's a multiplier for those points at the end of the game. And so I did have players gaining wealth whenever they played a set of cards to kind of try and give people the decision, do I want to play a lot of small sets to get a lot of wealth, or do I want to play a lot of large sets to have a lot of influence? And I think we need to step away from that. So we're moving wealth around a little bit, and wealth becomes important in one of the ways.
Can you make it so if you have so much wealth, your movement goes down?
I would love that. Like, I also think the delivery should make your movement go down anyway.
It's my favorite thing about Tales of the Arabian Nights.
Yeah,
I love the little wealth chart.
It like goes up, and then brrr.
It goes down. It's like you can take a boat, but like you can't move and stay wealthy. And then talk about player count.
Yeah. So I do. I played a game with my spouse Sunday night, and I'm really enjoying 2-player. I very intentionally designed it with 2-player in mind, and I think we've kind of wandered into territory though where the actions are so tight now that like because I took a few turns off to do other things, I fell behind and I lost.
Yeah.
That's a decision I need to make: is do I really want it to be that tight or not? And to worry about.
I've been thinking a lot about the bifurcation of turns, like the fact that you have these like I'm taking my adventurer turn, and then at the end of that I like use my influence.
Your influence, yep.
And I was thinking about like a world where you, for pace, take full turn as an adventurer, and then the next time it comes around to you, you like take your influence turn, and you're like oscillating between them. The War of the Ring card game does interesting things with like players not having full control. It's not that you have full control, but like the way it divides the player positions is really curious. So I've been stewing on it.
Have you played Monpoc? Monster Apocalypse?
No, I haven't played Monster.
So so this is way aside here. So in Monster Apocalypse, you have 10 white dice that are your action dice, and they are either in your monster pool or your unit pool, and they can be divided.
Sure.
And so so when you take your turn as the monster, you can spend 1 die to move, and then it's like up to 3 more dice to move 1 space and ignore terrain. So it's like just a little extra push if you need to. And then your attacks then are, you assign how many dice you want to attack with, and then you get some bonus dice based on the attack, and then you roll those dice. And so most monsters will use 2 to 4 dice moving, and then they'll make a big attack with the remaining dice, and then they all push over. Whatever you spend pushes over to the unit pool. And then, so like when new players play it, they spend all 10 dice. When it's in the unit pool, they spend all 10 dice. They just keep going back and forth. So you take a monster turn, you take a unit turn, you take a monster turn. But the real like game starts when you realize that because of bonus dice and other power dice you can apply to an attack, you might be able to get away with making it using only 2 or 3 white dice. And then you get a second activation of your monster where you can just shoot again.
Sure.
Or make another power attack if you're in position. And so I wonder if there's something like that where like you don't spend all your actions, maybe you can react to what somebody does.
I was thinking about like part of the problem with, and this is a bad way of putting it, but like the in wargaming people talk about the schizophrenic player is really just a divided player position.
Yeah.
You're asking players to hold 2 player positions in mind.
Right.
Because then it can be really disruptive to flow of play.
Right.
Because you're like, okay, good job adventuring. Now it's time for you to like.
Now draw this card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I think there might be some interesting tools for doing that organically and making it like really responsive. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by Path. Path is a super strange game.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's strange just in the way that, and this is something that Pat and I talked about, I think even on this chat, open world games are just often like a little flat.
Right.
And I think the sort of studio style, and I'm thinking about Vast and Root here, both examples of this, really is an ecosystem first, an emergent narrative first, to like give players the tools to create like a living, breathing world. And Path has like in some ways like a very big canvas, which is exciting.
Right.
Because it's so much bigger than like the dungeon Vast or even like the particular setting of Root.
We just need to get a content creator in here to build all the weird things that can happen. I don't really want that though. Yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid. Yeah, but
there's a funny balance to it. I've been thinking about do you know the Gods War game, like Glorantha or whatever? So this is the game that Peterson made after Cthulhu Wars, and it's like in some respects it's kind of not boring, but it's just a very straightforward like dudes on a map game, except it has these like bits of chrome that are like, you're playing the Sun King god. Your piece starts in hell and you're stuck in hell, and like you have to, the rule of hell is that like you have to, the Hell Lord needs to decide to let you out of hell in order for you to, do the next thing.
Sandy Peterson, you say?
Yeah, exactly. But what I mean is like it has it does have that like those odd bits, but they give the game so much character, like the shield wall in Dune or something.
Yeah.
Where it's like just a couple little things, just a few little well-positioned pieces of chrome.
Yeah, so I think we have all the verbs and we have all the nouns. I think it's just time to figure out how to put those sorts of bits in. Anyway, to finish we got way off topic on the player count question, and that is
two
to 4. I think it's going to be I think 4 is. It was a little long. I was playing a new game with my friends. We were discussing the rules.
You're like starting to run into downtime issues. I have this like same problem with like Zia, which I think is really good at 3.
Yeah.
And then as you add more players, it just gets so slow.
And I would like to meet someone before we crowdfund it to make an entertaining. I would like to have like a mode where you're fighting the warlord on the map for 1 player.
Sure.
So like an automated warlord coming at you. So yeah. So that's right.
And almost certainly a
crowdfunding.
Yeah, crowdfunding campaign, I should say.
It'll probably be. It might be one of those services. We'll see where we're at.
So. Yeah. And I think our hope is to have it ready to show you all sometime this coming year. But. It's done when it's done when it's done. That's we're not gonna rush anything here.
Should we talk about these particular design issues? We'll just go through these one at a time.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we talked about rewards, path. Okay, so yes,
this next one's a good one.
This is kind of the like this could be the weirdness.
Sure.
Yeah. So right now in the game, you're getting it's using the influence cards just so there's 1 deck. So right now you're getting a stack of 5 cards at the beginning that says either Republic, Cat, or Keeper. And and those are in order because I was inspired by Pahanza. And so when you do a mission for the top card in that stack, you can flip it over, and then that is called the path, and that is the personal story you're on. And prior to this version, and you had suggested breaking away from the narrative approach, is that there was just a set of cards that was very narrative. Go meet your friend and blah, blah. Go investigate rumors and blah, blah. And to get through the path. And it was very disjointed from the rest of the mission structure.
Right.
Yeah. And so the mission structure was there to power you up. The path was the test to see if you could finish the game. And at the end of the path, everybody's path was fight one of the big bad guys on the map. And so I changed it to using the influence card. So it was the first time you do a mission for the cats, flip over that card, you get a hireling and the current reward. That reward structure wasn't quite working, which is one of the adjustments I'll be making. But my problem with it right now is that one of my players on Saturday ended the game by finishing his path because that was one of the game end triggers. And he said, I knew I was going to lose because I could see what the point counts were going to be, and I finished my path anyway, just because it's playtesting, I didn't really care. But that could cause some AP with some people saying, I'm not going to finish my path because I know I'm going to lose, so I need to go find other points in the meantime.
Yeah, this is, I think, like...
He was way more powerful than us. He could have done it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Like, this gets to a very central question about, when should a game end?
Right.
And also, how much, a player who's not going to win.
Right.
What do you do with them in a thematic game?
Right.
Because if the moment they stop playing the game, it's like you're at a play and a character who's dead just walks off set or something. He's like, look, I'm not going to win this. I'll see you later.
I'm out of here.
Polonius just gets up off the floor and wanders off the stage.
Well, the solution, and I don't want to steal the playbook from Root, but I thought, what if there was just cards in the influence deck that you could present that were like dominance? So it's like get to 4 glory, which is another currency in the game, which you don't normally go for, but something could be like, oh, well, I'm behind. Maybe I'm going to go for the sudden death here.
Yeah, because you want, and then the tricky thing about this is that you have to make it so no player in good standing would
pivot to it. Yes,
right. It's too weird to
So that's one solution.
Yep.
My other solution was just to put cards in the path. So make a unique path deck, have most of the cards be what they are now. Do a mission for so-and-so, do a mission for so-and-so. But then have some of the cards be attain some game state during the game, and then reveal this card at game end.
Yep.
And so, and with the knowledge that if you have to, if you could reveal all the cards and finish your path, then you can end the game. But the other player might still be like, yes, but I also had these things I've done in my path, and then score the points for those. So there's just a little bit hidden points.
Right.
And there's some good arguments against hidden points in this office.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like, I always think about the hidden trackable information conversation comes oftentimes, so that I'm garbling my words. So sometimes this stuff gets called hidden trackable information, which is anything that you could track,
right?
But the game is asking you not to. And usually it's not asking you to, it says you don't want to track it because it's depending on you forgetting about it, because it wants you to have some uncertainty about who's going to win. And usually, and I think this is the best argument against it, is that you never want to design a game that depends upon the players playing it badly.
Right.
So like, hey, this game is better if the players are being a little stupid about how to. You want to assume that players are going to like do it well. Now, the other thing about the hidden information is that, okay, so let's not include hidden trackable information, but instead include secret objectives.
And there's a large enough pool of secret objectives that you don't know what subsets in the game.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the thing about secret objectives is that they're going to turn the game at high levels of play to a deduction game.
Sure.
Which again could be fine.
Right.
But then there are these like two follow-up questions which I always ask of a deduction game, which is, one, is deduction the right feeling?
Right.
Do you want players to feel like
it's not very adventurous?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have to do a bunch of things for the cats?
Yeah, like who are you really working for?
Yeah.
And then the second question is and this is a harder question, is the game system itself expressive enough to allow for meaningful deduction and misdirection? And that is what often happens. Yeah. I think TI, a game I love, the 3rd edition, the 4th edition is better at this, but it's obvious what the secret objectives are. Right. And so the game doesn't have, and in fact, if you try to be coy about your secret objectives, you're just gonna screw them up because you've wasted the valuable action. The action is so valuable.
And this game's too tight for that.
Yep. And so like, the only time I think that secret objectives work is if there is such a loose action structure that players have a lot of actions to like misdirect and shuffle around. But I think, thinking about the story of the adventure game and like the beat, having the right beats is a good way of thinking through it. But yeah, I don't know the right way. I mean, I think Zia again is a hilarious example of an adventure game to bring it to the table because Zia, the points don't matter. Like whenever I sit down to play Zia, we usually say like, let's play Zia for 3 hours, and then whoever's got the highest score at 3 hours will finish the round and then call it. I think that it like actually works fine. I also think there is something, and Drew is the one who really clued me into this. Drew plays a lot more like indie RPGs than I do, and he is always very sensitive to like ending a game at the right time. So like he'll be playing like a board game, and it'll be like we'll have a fantastic like moment. He's like, "Hey, do we call it? Yeah. Is it going to feel silly to play this out when it has already ended at the proper time? Right. Like we got to our ending." But I think it's a tricky thing. I mean, Oath was entirely built around the problem of endings and trying to make them feel like they were earned and deserved in ways that I think didn't. I think that it answered that at the cost of not being able to answer other things. So like sometimes this is like sometimes this is a thing that's not even worth chasing after. We were talking earlier about like Euros that you can just lose. Right. Like you're playing a game badly. Maybe you just lost. And then the hope from a design perspective is that the players are so engaged by the game that they feel as if it is still worth playing. They're still learning, even if they're losing. I don't know. It's a tricky problem. Those are the two big decisions. I mean, the rest is all just add this type of mission. Like the rest is like content iteration. Yeah. That's not very interesting. So. I'd love to hear your opinions on Twitter, though. That'd be fun. So tweet at me. Tweet at Patrick. At Patrick Leader. Not at Leader Games. No. Brooke will be sad. We've gotten around this problem a little bit in ARCs by having these kind of like escalating bets. It's a little bit like how Premier does it too, where you, in the late game, you can make these gigantic risky bets, so that even if you're in a down and out position, you can still like sort of do these quick double and triple jumps. And so you almost kind of pull, what is it, Family Feud, the like doubling score trick. That's the simplest version of it, but we've also tried to structure it so that the those gambits have a cost and they can backfire.
Sure. So the third round of Family Feud, only one side is playing for triple points. And if they lose, they exit the game.
Sure, yes.
Yeah. So.
Or, you know, in this example, imagining a world where, like, you know, cats are dominant, cat influence is worth a lot of points. But if the cats lose their dominance, the people who usurp them are worth, like, even more points.
Sure.
So that the point potentials are always hiding with the underdogs, as if, and that, I like that because there's a real world teeth to that, because if you topple a government, the degree to which it was a surprise is also like the velocity that it's going to pull other people up.
And that's, you know, to counter his point, that's what he should have done. He should have not finished the path, used his superior player position, because he now had 4 hirelings, because he wasn't 4 out of 5 into the path. Should use all his hirelings. I think he had one of the retainers, which are like extra characters that follow you. So he had all that going for him, and he could have definitely used his extra influence to change it to, I think he was the only player that really scored cat points. He could change his cats and then been like, no, I'm going to end the game and win with these points.
And that starts to put into focus questions about like how easily can a player change their influence position and things like that, or their I don't know what the right word for it is in the game right now.
One more time?
Oh, so like how easily can a player pivot from backing one faction to another faction?
Yeah, and that's a question.
And I think like understanding that, this just makes me want to play Premier with you, because like the questions about like what triggers a betrayal and what's the cost of the betrayal needs to be stacked in such a way that like you don't want to stab anybody in the back.
Right.
But a desperate situation, like losing badly, but seeing like, but if I can topple the government this way, it's worth me forsaking all these other points to spin it out.
So in my game with my spouse, there was a point where I could have betrayed her and stolen her mission, which is part of the game. And she was like, I'm not going to like that if you do that. And this is my first game. I was like, okay, I won't do that. And then at the end of the game during scoring, she's like, you should have stolen that mission. I was like, all right, you. So steal your spouse's missions. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it seems like Path 2023 could happen.
I think it seems quite possible.
We're trying not to give Patrick any deadlines.
We are trying to go to a situation where everything is built so that we don't feel like we need to rush. We don't say like, we don't have like a fall 2023 slot. We will have things that are cooking, and when they're ready, they will get.
And it's been way more productive. This has been moving faster, and then my night project is like, it's very gamey and interesting, and I'm enjoying playing it. I should show it to you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And someone asked about the Oath expansion earlier. I have to wait a little bit more before I get really into it, because I need to. There are a few things about the Arcs campaign mode that need to be put to bed before I can go off to Oathland.
Yeah, that's good. No to the Geek style bits.
Yeah, if we ever do that kind of component upgrade for Root, we will do it ourselves. We won't do it through BGG.
Yeah.
1, and then 2, I don't know yet. It depends.
Yeah.
We still, I mean, really, Marauder is only now in retail.
Yeah.
So this is like a funny thing, addressing y'all, or like the core audience here. Marauder for you is a thing you've had for a long time. And Marauder is only now entering broad retail channels, which means we're probably even 4 or 5 months away from really understanding what we should do next for Root.
Apparently this is the first design chat my spouse has watched.
Hi, Brandon.
She's had the chance to watch it. So, so maybe not the first, but I think so. And then Ahoy.
On the water.
On the water, yeah.
Close.
We were told what to say. It's
close.
On the water.
It's
close,
on the water, and it's close.
Yes. It's just a frustrating time to ship things.
It's just hard to move a metal box across the ocean.
So I have been seeing a lot of Reddit threads. I'm going to put this down. I've almost responded to them, but I don't want to get involved in a discussion in Reddit. So I'll just do it while I have a one-way communication now.
Brilliant. I'll knock over the camera if say anything controversial.
People keep saying things like, oh, well, shipping prices are down to pre-COVID levels, which they are. coming down really fast. I agree with you. Comment. Sorry, I'll get to that. So they are coming down to pre-COVID levels. So then, like, the first comment I saw was like, well, of course they didn't charge less for shipping at blah 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 Kickstarter, and I was like, well, they can't turn on a dime. They can't turn their shipping prices on a dime. And frankly, hub to door is most of the cost, and it's still quite high.
Yeah, and I mean, that's such a infuriating comment, because so much of the rise in costs was absorbed by publishers.
Yeah.
We just ate all of that.
Yeah.
And then when we couldn't eat anymore, we passed on some of the costs.
Right.
And then now they're going down. Your shipping costs, they may go down in a project that we launch in 8 months.
Yes.
I mean, I just don't we're a long way away from, I think if we do a Path Kickstarter in 2023, the shipping rates might look more like the Underworld shipping rates than the Arc shipping rates. Right. That is possible.
Right. Possible.
Yeah, that is possible. It's in the world of possibility, but it's not even likely. And the shipping rates will eventually help fix things. But if anything, they are hopefully going to be a reason why we don't have to increase the price of root. I mean, that's
Right. So anyway, I just wanted to.
I'll
probably go onto Reddit. I'll go onto Reddit and get it in front of it. But then someone's gonna tell me I'm horrible because I talked about their favorite company. I do not control. No.
And in fact, even heads of state cannot control gas prices very well.
Well, that's the irony of it. Yeah. And so I agree. Vox said that I think that player just it was late. They just wanted to go. And maybe I do talk about the scoring up front, but I think the scoring is a bit to grok. And I think it's fine that it's a bit to grok. I think it's just, I think you just have to realize your first game, you're going to get to the end and go, okay, that's how scoring works. And then the next game, you're going to be fine. So, and that's the kind of game we make, though. Yeah,
it's an amazing thing. I say this all the time, to work with the knowledge that these are games designed to be played a few times.
Yes.
And not just once. Because I'll tell you, wandering around the halls of Essen, the majority of those games were all built around having a good demo.
Right.
And we want to have good demos, and we spend a lot of time working on our demos and how approachable the games are, but we will never make design decisions that privilege the demo over the core experience.
Yeah. I knew you were Lauren. Even more news on what kind of projects you're working on. Are we working on Root? I've written some ideas down for factions.
I have some ideas too. We're not really working on Root.
Yeah.
We're too deep in everything else.
I drew some maps a year ago. If you can go, you can play this. I saw a really good one on.
I saw.
On the Discord. Yeah, the Tundra map. It looks pretty good.
And Oath expansion. Talked about that. Basically, I'm like 2 months from really getting into the weeds. I have a giant stack of things that I want to try. I have a sense of what I want the expansion to do now, but I haven't started working on content. I'm very excited for it. Hopefully that'll be my post-Arcs treat. And then, do you agree that Despot Infinity is too strong of a nerf without a T? Denny Dean, I don't know.
Without a T? Without root T, it's impossible to win?
I'd have to think about that. I don't know.
Yeah. I have a lot of feelings about the Vagabond.
Yeah.
I love the Vagabond. I think that maybe someday
a little revision. Yeah, I think there's like a few things we could do to make it.
Maybe cut the word count down.
And then how do we feel about competitive root? We love competitive root. Competitive root is wild.
Yeah.
Because it's so different from how I play it.
Yeah.
But it is interesting seeing the game subject to that much scrutiny.
Whenever I play with the app or I play in a game on TTS, I'm like, this meta is so different than how I play the game, and it's very weird.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's about 3 o'clock.
I think it's about 3 o'clock, so we'll call
I'm on a game design today.
Yeah, I've got a lot of ARC stuff to do. Okay, so thanks to everybody for tuning in to our chat. We will have a couple more live streams this month, at least one. We're hoping to do a vast TMM live stream before the end of the month.
Someone asked for trick or treat.
Oh, trick or treat live stream.
Yeah, maybe I'll just do that at my house. You can
sure,
all have the trick or treat.
We could easily set that up. I don't know if you want to.
It's not for sale.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we can just talk about vast TMM while playing trick or treat. You got to move that.
Yeah, we're gonna move those TMMs. Yeah.
Let me see if there's anything else. Yep, so we have those coming. If you're in the Twin Cities area, we are hoping to start doing some public playtesting, maybe late next month. So watch for those announcements. And of course, the ARCS kit will be dropping later this week, hopefully on Thursday. And we will have a Kickstarter update, and you can also find it by joining the Woodland Warriors Discord, the central Discord for all things Leader Games, and really just all things. There are tons of interesting channels.
Yeah.
And lots of lovely people.
And I'll burst into Root Chat once a day and say what I miss.
Yeah. And thank you also anybody who came up to me during Essen and introduced yourself. I really appreciate it. It was lovely talking to you, so many of you, and it was just it made a very busy weekend just delightful, very refreshing.
And ahoy soon.
And ahoy soon, we promise soon. All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.